Raina Campbell, your Chief Dream Driver, and welcome to the No Parking Podcast, where through conversations and discussions with creators like yourself, we'll find interesting approaches to help you take your dreams out of park, put them in drive, and ride towards success.
I don't know when this whole 2017 having a regular, quote-unquote, regular job made you a lame thing happened. But to me, I think that rhetoric is really dangerous because it's having people compare themselves to something that's not real.
Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to episode 108 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And today, our guest is Keyaira Boone. Now, one thing I want to say to you guys, dream driving is not easy, but yet a lot of people want to lie about their struggles and the challenges they experience, and I just don't know why. But I do know Keyaira is not one of those people. So I met Keyaira actually through episode 10 guest, Christina Brown, and we talk about how we met in the episode. But one of the things that I love about Keyaira is she is just a truth teller. She tells you like it is, and she's not afraid to talk about things that other people don't want to talk about. So this episode is going to be all about her talking about why you really need to keep it real about where you are on your journey, because a lot of people out here are not keeping it real, and that is acting as a disservice to a lot of other creatives, a lot of other lifestyle entrepreneurs. One of the things I love about Keyaira is I think her story is really unique. She opens up about her childhood and just growing up and some of the lessons that she learned as she became a young woman and later an adult. We talk about what led her down this media path that she's currently on. Keyaira opens up about some of the ways that creatives suffer in silence, especially when they don't have to. And she also shares her favorite tips and strategies for showing your value and being true to who you are. So some of the other topics that we talk about in this episode that I know that you guys will love is how she went from graduating high school with a 1.8 GPA and graduated college with a 3.7 GPA. We talk about the importance of building your personal brand, separating your professional and personal life, why you can't care about what others think about your journey, how to not get your time wasted, how to vet opportunities, being authentically you, being open to different opportunities, and just so much more. So this episode is going to be a treat for you guys. So a few reminders before we hear from Keyaira. Remember, if you love this episode, please share it. I personally love to see when you guys are sharing it on Instagram stories. So basically, wherever you're listening, just screenshot it and upload it to Instagram, upload it to Twitter, upload it to Facebook, and tag us. We are Dreams and Drive across the board. And you can also use the hashtag Dreams and Drive as well. If you are on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review, rate us. I'm going to do a video soon about how to do a review if you're not sure. If you want today's show notes, just go to dreamsanddrive.com and click on episode 108. And if you are not a part of our Dreams and Drive Facebook group, what are you waiting on? To join, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/Facebook or search Dream Driver Mastermind the next time you're on the Facebook app, and you can definitely request access there. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. Enjoy. Hey, Keyaira, welcome to this episode of Dreams and Drive. How are you, girl?
Hey, girl. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on. I feel like this has been long overdue in a lot of ways, but everything happens at the right time, right?
I'm so honored to be a guest on the podcast. I'm a huge fan.
Okay, so how did we come to be? So I think it was when I pitched episode 10 guest Love Brown Sugar, you were the person who vetted the pitch to her, right? Yes. Christina Brown.
I was the person who listened to the podcast in the previous episodes and said whether or not she should do it. And I was her assistant at the time, so I carved out the time and tried to schedule the interview because, she's really busy. She gets a lot of requests.
And then we got to meet in person at the Brown Girls Love Power Day. And
yes.
It's been cool ever since.
Power Day is always awesome. It feel like it brings everybody together and all your social media crushes you can meet in real life.
Definitely. I know there were people there. I think our recent guest, Ayana Iman, was there, and I remember seeing her at the event, and I was like, wait, I definitely have her screenshot in my phone. Maybe one day she could be in my podcast and just see how things end up happening, right? So I know, how I love to start our podcast off, and I was looking at your Instagram feed a little bit earlier today, and you had this quote that said, behind every dope woman is one hell of a story, right? So thinking about your own story, if you had to go back in time to 9-year-old you, what was inspiring you back then? What was the world like for you?
I would say that I was inspired by books and television. I watched a lot of TV as a child, and I always had a firm idea of how things should be around me, even if they weren't like that. I was heavily opinionated back then.
And tell our listeners where you grew up, because you are very New Jersey focused. So I definitely want to make sure people know where you rep from the beginning of the podcast.
I grew up in Newark and Irvington, New Jersey.
Okay, and I think
I claim both because I spent equal times there.
Okay. So how do you think growing up in Newark and Irvington really affected who you are now?
I think that it had a huge impact on who I am now, from being able to stick up for myself and, speak up, to just understanding that everybody is not born on the same playing field. I think that having an understanding of that really contributes to who I am and the point of view that I write from.
What do you mean by that? And how did that, how was that brought to life for you personally?
In my personal experiences, I was always really smart up until a certain point. I had good grades and everything, and I really thought I was smart. And then when I was in 9th grade, I was transferred into Union Public School Systems, and I realized that even the smartest kid in Irvington, who didn't have to try at all to get A's and B's on tests, could study every day after school and get C's and D's in Union because they weren't given the foundation that the kids in Union were. And Union and Irvington, if anybody knows anything about New Jersey, are remarkably close to each other. But at least when I was in middle school and high school, the difference between the school districts was amazing. Like, you couldn't even believe that this was 15 minutes away and it was a totally different world.
How did that affect you, personally? So I know you said that's when your grades started shifting and you as a person kind of went into yourself, right?
Yeah, I always say that I'm an introvert, somebody who feeds off of being by myself, and you can sit me in the corner and I'll be totally fine. But then when I get around people, I have this really huge personality. I just recharge alone. Mm-hmm. But that's when I became life really isn't fair. And I just sort of had a chip on my shoulder about that, because I could really see that it wasn't how hard you tried at that time. It was where you started out.
You went to Kane. You ended up going to Kane University. Do you think by the time you got to college, that feeling of, or that, how do you think that realization that everyone's not on the playing, not everyone is born on the same playing field evolved over time by the time you got to college?
I think, first of all, my journey going into college was a really specific one. All
right, tell us about it.
I first went to Berkeley College. When I graduated high school, I had super, super low aspirations. The goal, I was 17 years old, and the goal was just to make $13 an hour and get my own apartment by any means necessary. So I literally went to Berkeley College with the thought that I'm going to get an associate's degree and I'm going to get an apartment. And then because of family issues that I was having, I got an apartment. I moved out at 18. So it really didn't make sense to stay at Berkeley when I already had an apartment, if that's all the goal was. So I dropped out, and everyone's like, if you drop out of school, you're never going to go back. But
everyone your family or friends?
Family, friends. People were just well, why would you do that? You already did time at Berkeley. It just seems like a waste. And I was like, well, if I already got what I wanted, now I could go do something else. I can at least try a different path. So I went to Union County College, and everyone's like, that's 13th grade. Why would you do that? come to think of it now, I should have gone to Union County College to begin with. But when you get bad grades in high school, you're so embarrassed to go to county college and like go to the 13th grade and be around people that you don't want to be around, that you'll take, all these different twists and turns just to end up right back there. So I went to Union County College and I was an adult. I was working, I was paying rent, I was paying bills, and I took college and school a lot more seriously because every minute that I was away from work was time that I could have been working. So if I'm going to be here, I'm going to make the most of it. And I graduated from Union County, and then I transferred to Kane, and I graduated from Kane with a 3.7 GPA, even though I graduated high school with a 1.8.
Whoa, wow. I didn't mean to say whoa, okay.
No, everyone's like surprised when I tell them that, because people think that your GPA reflects how smart you are, but it really, just reflects how well you did on tests or how much effort you were willing to put into your work. So when I put in that time in college, I did a lot better. I received 2 scholarships while I was at college. I really put the time in. And now I'm getting a master's in public and organizational relations at Montclair State University. So I think that it really showed me that even though you don't start out on that playing field and you have that chip on your shoulder, once you do one thing, like once I finished Union County, it was like, oh, well, I could probably go to Kane. And once I finished Kane, it was like, oh, well, I'm going to go get another degree because I can. Once you do a little bit, you start to wonder what else you can do.
What do you think was like that biggest motivation for you as you made that shift? Like, I'm about to actually do this, execute on, these new possibilities that I have for myself.
I always wanted to know, as far as writing, I'm a freelance writer. I always wanted to know if I was good. People always tell me I was good at writing, but my aunt always says, consider the source when you're taking advice. And I always wanted to know if I could compete at a higher level and what I was capable of. But while I was dreaming about that, I had to deal with my reality. And luckily, through great time management, I was able to do both.
So you had this dream to be a writer. When did you start freelance writing and, working with online publications? I know you became associated with Christina Brown and Love Brown Sugar. Like, how did all those opportunities start to sprout for you?
Well, I never knew if I was going to be a professional writer. I just knew that I was a decent writer, and English was something that I thought was a safe major. So I knew that I could get through it. I knew that the classes wouldn't be too hard because I could write. I talk a lot. I write pretty quickly. I could write a 30-page paper in my sleep. And I knew that I would be able to do that and work full-time, 2 jobs, and not go underwater. I started working with Christina in fall of 2014. I had attended Love Brown Sugar events before. I met her at the first Made in America festival. I liked her and what she represented online. And I tweeted her and I was like, there's going to be a girl come up to you in a yellow shirt, because I knew she was going to be there from Twitter. And I didn't see her that day. And the next day at the festival, I ran into her at the Run DMC show. She was like, how come your shirt's not yellow? And she was just really nice to me. I had my close friend Matt with me, and I was telling him how excited I was to meet her. And he was like, is this person really a big deal, or is this somebody like only you know? And I swear every Black girl around us was like pointing to her like, oh, like that's that girl from Instagram. And I spoke to her. That was my first time meeting her. I went to a couple Love Brown Sugar events, and I just kept in touch with her. When I graduated college and I finally got a job with a set schedule, I was able to intern, because I couldn't intern during college and feed myself. That was not going to happen. I didn't make enough money. I had to work as many hours as possible so I could come up with the rent every month. And as soon as I had a job where I knew when I would be working and when I was getting off, I reached out to her. And I was like, I don't know if you remember me. I just graduated King University. And I saw on Instagram you were looking for interns, and I would love to intern for you. And she was like, oh, yeah, I remember you. And I was hired that day.
Was that your first freelance writing gig?
Yeah, it was. I was an intern I was supposed to only do Fashion Week to get experience. And she wanted me to stay on, and I stayed on. And then I got hired as a contributor, and then I worked with her for a few more years. I still contribute there. Like, I'll be covering some stuff for her this upcoming Fashion Week. I owe a lot to Christina. I learned so much there.
I was going to say, like, what do you think were some of the biggest things you learned from Christina and why you became so valuable to her? Or was such an asset? You know, I don't want to say valuable as if like, oh, you know, I mean valuable in the sense of like why you guys were really able to form a great professional relationship or even beyond that as well.
I was consistent. A lot of people say that they want to be writers and they want to be bloggers and they want to do it. And then when they see what it really entails, they don't actually want to do it. I really wanted to do it. Like, I didn't just write for Love Brown Sugar. If there was something for Baby Brown Sugar that I thought was a good idea, I would pitch it for Baby Brown Sugar because that might be another opportunity to get another byline. And I really believed in the brand. I still do. I believe in the brand. And I think that she saw that.
What did you start to realize about like the media landscape in the New York City area? Like, you know, what did you think about the industry as somebody who was an aspiring writer and wanted to, you know, really build your own portfolio, create your own site eventually?
It's hard every day, but I think I thought that it was going to be a lot harder than it was as far as just getting in the room. It's difficult. We get to be, you know this, you do the podcast and you write for publications. We get to be in some pretty awesome rooms. We do. But getting in the room itself is not nearly as hard as being consistent and going when you don't feel like it. And when you're sick and you have other things on your mind, like coming back. I got to see that really sticking in there the longest is what made a difference. And that someone who might not necessarily be who looking at them through their outfit or where they come from and what they look like, a fashion girl can get a lot further than the person with the great outfit and the red bottom shoes and everything that you would think a fashion girl could be, who doesn't have the consistency and doesn't have the work ethic and would rather be hanging out with their friends at Chipotle than investing in their career.
So you said it's really not that hard to get into the room. So what are some tips you would give to other, you know, people who are trying to get into the room and are having difficulties doing so?
Do the appropriate amount of research. A lot of times you might only have 5 minutes to talk to a person. You don't want to waste those 5 minutes talking about things that are a Google search away. There are certain things that if you say you want to be a writer, a blogger, a publicist, even a rapper, a singer, that you should know because they're Googleable. Mm-hmm. Doing the appropriate amount of research before you get anywhere, even just knowing how to present your resume, knowing how to write a cover letter, that's not something that you should have to go to someone else and ask them to help you write a cover letter. Claire Sumner from Fashion Bomb Daily gets internship applications all the time, and people misspell her name in the email to the person that they're trying to get an internship with. That's a clear shot way. That's not the industry keeping you out the room. That's you keeping you out the room.
I love that example because I think it's sometimes we're just so, what's the word, like, we want everything to come so quickly that you're just doing things and not even like proofreading, right? That's a clear way. I know even personally, I think I mentioned this before on the podcast. Like if someone pitches me to be on the podcast, you could have the best pitch. But if you say like, hey, I want to be on the Dream Driver podcast, I'd be like, wrong podcast. And I won't even finish reading it. You know what I mean? It's like little details like that I think people often overlook and they think it doesn't matter, but it truly does because it kind of is telling of your work ethic, as you were saying before. Like, how careful are you going to be? Can I trust you if I were to hire you and work with you that you would, you know, put that care into your work?
I read over the initial email that I sent to Christina 100 times before I sent that email. And even I remember our very first phone call, and she wanted to move it up by 15 minutes. And I was in the car and I wasn't home yet. I remember pulling over to the side of the road to talk to her. I wasn't going to be like, oh, well, can you wait 15 minutes for me? If you have speaker on your phone, pull over and pull out the speaker phone. Do what you have to do. There are certain things that are not in your control. So, of course, you can't force someone to give you an internship. I applied to be an intern at Global Grind, and I never got it. And there was nothing I could do about that. I literally tried my hardest. I wrote a cover letter and my resume, and they just didn't want me. So sometimes you're not in the room because the person won't let you in, but don't not get in the room because you won't let you in. A lot of jobs look really, really cool on social media, and you don't want to do the job. You just want to be able to take cool pictures. You are holding yourself back from what you're supposed to be doing by doing that.
Yep.
If this is not what you really want to do, don't do it. Don't waste your time chasing after something that you don't even have interest in because you don't care enough to look how to properly spell a person's name.
And I think sometimes too, sometimes you have to make the best of the opportunities that are given to you. And sometimes those like opportunities with like the names that may be bigger, let's say, you know, it's like this big name magazine that you were applying for and you didn't get it. And then a small time blog says, hey, can you work with us? Right? You never know where that small time blogger can go and the opportunities that you'll be given working with someone who may not be as big as like a Vogue or whatever that is. Right? What were some invaluable things that you learned by working with, you know, I don't want to call Love Brown Sugar a startup, but a smaller entity that may not have been as big as like the Global Grind or any other thing that you might have been applying to that was bigger?
I learned that treating people with respect, which we should all know that from our parents, or in my case, my grandparents who raised me. I learned that treating people with respect is important. I remember watching Christina at a speaking engagement, and she was like, listen, I'm not the blogger with the hugest amount of numbers. I might not have the highest amount of engagement, but I'm nice and I'm given opportunities because I'm nice. And I never did anything for her where she didn't say thank you. Or say how much she appreciated. I remember my birthday is Christmas Eve, and she came to my house in the snow on Christmas Eve to give me a birthday present and just say thank you for how hard you work. And that really does make a difference. You know, fashion, not just fashion, beauty, entertainment. A lot of people aren't nice. And I'm not saying that you have to be fake or Mary Poppins, but it really doesn't hurt you to say please and thank you. Organization is really important. You could get a lot more done when you prioritize and you have everything organized and just written down. Because even a lot of the bigger publications might not know what's going on because there's so many people on the team that this person isn't communicating with that person. I really learned how to see how a business runs when you have a lean team and you have a lot to accomplish with a small group. You learn how important communication is.
And you never saw yourself as being the star of whatever platform you would build in the future, right? So I think that was something we were talking about, how like you kind of like behind the scenes and it wasn't always... Yeah,
my Instagram was private up until recently. So, like, I really just wanted to write. I have fun on social media. I use it to connect with people I talk to every day. You're one of my favorite people on social media. We go back and forth, and I'm also very free and open. But with being free and open comes judgment, and it comes outside opinions. And I always felt like I had a little chip on my shoulder about that. I was like, well, I'm a writer. Why do I have to be a writer / cheerleader / reality star? I thought in my head, if I'm a good enough writer, someone will see that and they will hire me because I'm a good writer. But you have to, how can they see that if you're hiding? Something Christina and actually Sharia from Essence Magazine, like both of them individually had like many interventions with me and was like, okay, like we know you're a cute girl and you write and you have this going for you, but you really need to knock it off with social media and like do a better job reaching out to people.
So they basically told you have to work on your personal brand?
They did, not changing who I was by any means, but they just said you have to make more of an effort. Like, why would someone, they're not going to look under a rock to find you if you're a writer. Like I just talked about taking yourself out of the running. I was taking myself out of the running by having a private Instagram, by having a private Twitter account, by not making the effort to connect with other people who was doing what I was doing. And I think that that was a little bit of arrogance on my part where I just thought, well, Christina is this huge writer. She runs a blog and she thinks I'm good. So why wouldn't the next person want to take the effort to, hire me? But why would they look for you? You have to open yourself up to other possibilities.
So what was it like the day that you took your Instagram off of private and you opened up to the world? Do you remember like those first few days and some of the first few things you posted and the reactions to it?
I remember like random people follow, like even like Twitter eggs. And I'm like, who's this? Is this girl I didn't like from 11th grade getting her best friend to follow me? Like, you'd be like, who is this? Like, is this somebody who I know or I don't know? It was really, because I was on Instagram super, super early. So I just was used to taking pictures of everything and like putting every little part out. And I just felt like people were going to pick it apart my stuff. But nobody cared. I have 1,500 followers and I know pretty much every one of them. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any of them are overly concerned about what I'm doing. I think sometimes we just get in our own heads.
That is so true.
Social media.
Like, sometimes even you can create endings that will never even happen, right? And then you can just harp on those made up endings and those made up realities when you just have to let what happens. And if something happened and you have to switch back to being private, then you'll deal with it when it comes. But sometimes we get so caught up on the what if or what could go wrong instead of thinking about like what could go right by doing something,
Yeah, I think that I was super, super private in my professional life. I'm really open in my personal life. And I was like, well, I give all that in my personal life. All my friends know everything. You know me. I'm a talker. And I'm really honest and upfront about everything. And I was like, well, I just don't want to have to do that at work. I do enough of that in my life. But there's no personal and professional life. There's life.
Why did you decide to start the C letter? Well, what really was the inspiration behind that?
I'm out and about a lot. I go to a lot of events in Brooklyn and Harlem and all these different places. And I would have people say things to me like, you're mad cool. Like, I wouldn't even know you weren't from New York. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, I remember being in an ice cream shop. There was an ice cream shop who did flavors themed for Kanye West for his birthday. So, of course, I'm extra, and I had to go all the way down to the Lower East Side and go get the ice cream and see what they had going on. And I went by myself. I always roll by myself. And I'm hanging out and I'm talking to people because I'm a talker. I'm striking up conversation. And this guy was saying he hates people from Jersey. And I was like, but I'm from Jersey. And he's like, but you don't even count. You mad cool. You like you from New York. And I'm like, what does that mean? Everyone would say stuff like that. Or I would have people, well-meaning people who were my friends and who I had a lot of respect for in the industry would say things to me like, you really popping, you dope. And I feel like you would blow up if you were in New York. Like, there would be so much more opportunity for you in New York. You should move to Brooklyn. You should move to Harlem. And some of these people, I'm like, you have 7 roommates and you don't have a closet. And like, there's no table in your kitchen. And you're telling me that I need to leave my huge apartment that I've been in for a significant amount of time and move to Brooklyn and live where I have to sleep in shifts. So
you
that I can
sleep in shifts?
Yes, they sleep in shifts. These girls don't have their own bedroom. They don't have closets. Like,
wait, is this for real or you just exaggerating?
You know that for every bad chick on Instagram with like 300,000 followers that's going to the island every week, it's another one that lives in a crawl space under some stairs in Harlem.
That is true.
You know that. You know that's true. Like,
yes.
Everybody's not living that Cardi B life. Some people are still trying to make it. And they would say stuff like that to me and I'll be like, well, that's weird. Like, I'm at the same party that you're at. Like, I sat front row at Fashion Week. Shout out to the person who didn't show up. I got to sit in her seat. And I sat front row at Fashion Week in my little Old Navy dress and my clearance shades. And then I got on the PATH train and I went home to Jersey. So I'm like, it's nothing more that I could accomplish if I didn't live in New Jersey. I've already been doing the best I can thus far. And it just kind of bugged me. And everyone was telling me to start my own blog for a while. They were like, you have to have your own platform. You have to have your own brand. And I was like,
we all hear that, right?
Yeah, that's the new, narrative that everyone's pushing. What are you about? What is your brand? Who are you? And you have to have a way to introduce yourself to people. And I didn't want to do a personal style blog because, one, I'm not the most adventurous with my fashion. I wear a lot of button-up shirts, a lot of V-neck sweaters. I have a very specific style, a lot of graphic tees and high-waisted skirts. So I do fashion posts every now and then, but can't do a blog of outfit of the day. It's going to be the same outfit every day. So varsity jacket you can wear. And I didn't really want to do that. Plus, a lot of that is personality based. And I might not, a lot of people with the bloggers, they automatically think that they know the person or this is their best friend. And they meet them and it's going to be the best moment of their life. And it's a lot of pressure. And I wasn't interested in that. And I always said if I did something, it would have to be bigger than me. I don't have a lot of free time. So whenever I can, I have work dates with my friends where we'll sit like laptop to laptop and maybe be working on two different projects. And it's a way for us to spend time together, even if neither one of us has free time. Mm-hmm. And I was at a work date at Panera Bread in Clark, New Jersey, with a friend of mine, and she was asking me, I knew I had to start my own thing, but I didn't know what it would be. And she was asking me, what do you want to do? And I said that I want to create a platform that covers style, like civics, culture, and chic. Like I want style. I want to cover restaurant reviews and I want to cover fashion shows, but I also want to cover if someone is doing a food drive downtown Newark, we should be talking about that. We're always talking about who this model is sleeping with and what ball player got caught with the new side chick of the month. But people are doing these amazing things and they're not getting attention for that. And if attention is the new currency, maybe if we gave people attention for more positive things, they would be doing more positive things.
I love that. Attention is the currency. That is so true, especially in our culture. And I feel like that even messes up the industry as well. Because everyone's focused on superficial things, or the superficial is what gets promoted, right?
And don't get me wrong, I love the superficial. Listen, I love the rooftop. I love a good Snapchat where you're drinking on free drinks. Mm-hmm. I appreciate a good sponsor party as much as the next girl. I will use your corporate hashtag until the wheels fall off. But I just feel like we need to be more balanced with it. And I said, that's what I wanted to do. So I was writing that sentence down and talking to her. And that's became the C letter. And I said that I really wanted to incorporate New Jersey because I felt like people had a misconception about New Jersey. They were like, oh, well, where were you? Were you at this coffee shop? Everyone knows I'm addicted to coffee if you follow me on Instagram. And they're like, where's that coffee shop? It looks really cool. Is it in Brooklyn? And I'm like, no, it's in Cranford, New Jersey. And New Jersey does have platforms like Hoboken Girl, and they have Hip New Jersey. But somehow when these sites are coming up, there are not a lot of people of color on them. When I didn't see what I wanted to see and I wanted to work on a project, I decided to make that my project.
Did you have any doubt going into it that, maybe this wasn't going to work, maybe nobody would listen? And if so, how did you work through that doubt in the beginning, or that, anxiety over what was gonna be the future of the project you're trying to build?
One thing about growing up as an opinionated little kid, that, as my grandmother told me, not everybody is going to like you and you have to be okay with that. So my goal wasn't to get as many readers as possible. I, of course, want the site to do well because I want to shine light on projects and people and things that I think are interesting and deserve attention. But I run the C letter for me. It is a passion project. And if people like it, that's cool. If they don't, that's cool. My PSC&G bill is paid either way. I love it. And it's a way for me to work on something that I'm passionate about. So I wasn't doubtful. I was slightly nervous just because I know that I didn't know a lot about coding and web design and things. And I didn't know that how I was going to be able to put all that together, considering that I have a full-time job and I knew that it would be time consuming, but I wasn't nervous that nobody would read it. I'm pleasantly surprised at how many people have read it and have great things to say about it. But if they didn't, I would still do it because I love it.
So does that mean there was, like, you don't necessarily want to monetize it, or that there's another maybe profit project that you're also working on?
I would love to monetize it one day, but it has already brought me a great opportunity with Latched and Hooked, which is a wonderful Atlanta-based company run by girl boss Tiffany Gallon, who I actually met at Power Day.
And who will be on the podcast. So you guys who are listening to this episode, you'll be able to hear from Tiffany a few episodes from now. So
yes, she's amazing. Her story is amazing. Her company is amazing. I'm in awe of the way that she runs her business. I hope that I can be as organized and professional as she is one day. And I had no idea. I was working this last Power Day. This year I'll be there as a, just regular attendee cheering on Love Brown Sugar. But this past year I was working and I met Tiffany and I didn't even think that she was paying me any attention. And then shortly after I started to see later, I'm talking like less than 6 weeks, she reached out to me and wanted to know would I help her with her blog for her site. And because she, I guess, liked the way I carried myself and looked me up and saw my social media, saw the C letter and read the site, and she liked it. And that was right after I started. So it's already brought me a great opportunity that luckily, contributes to the car insurance.
So is the dream then for you, the dream is to pursue writing, and what's the dream? Let me not even try to make my own interpretation of the dream. What's the dream right now that you see Keyaira being in the future?
I mean, the short-term dream, of course, is to have a full-time staff writing position. I write a lot, but I would love to have nothing to do but write. That would be my dream, to spend every minute of every day just sitting at my MacBook, drinking as many coffees as I could, pounding out, byline after byline. But the long-term dream, I would love to one day work for myself and have a publishing company that mine titles for development. I think that would be really cool.
So I am going back to our conversation that we had earlier this week, and you were talking about this whole journey has taught you that you have to be true to you, right? Because there are people who may not always be so supportive. Maybe talk to us a little bit about some of those personal conversations you've had to have with yourself about what it means to be you and what it means to really work through not caring about what others think about your journey.
Well, of course, everyone's going to have an opinion about what you're doing. And I just think that you have to figure out how you feel about something, and then you can process how other people feel about it. And if it's relevant to how you feel, then you can deal with that. And if it's not, then you can just absorb the information and let it go. And I had to really think about what I wanted to do. People will always ask me well, are you sure that this is what you want to do? And, writing's dying and, there's not a lot of opportunity and, how much money can you really make? And all that things, I don't really pay any attention to that. Because if you do it because you love it, I actually do make a decent amount of money from my writing. And I know people who, don't make a dime. I'm very lucky to be able to monetize something that I love to do. But if I wasn't able to, I would do it anyway, just because I enjoy it. So what's the harm? It's just like it was with going to school. What's the harm in going to Union County and seeing how I do? Or I finished Union County. What's the harm in trying to get through Kane? Now I finished Kane. What's the harm in going to Montclair State and getting a master's degree and studying something that I have an interest in and seeing what you can do with that? What's the word? You're already where you are right now. Why would you not want to see if you could take it further?
I feel like some people, it's that mental blockage, right? It's like some people not believing they're good enough. Because I know even me, I talk about this a lot on the podcast. My biggest thing that I'm struggling with now is being comfortable with charging people for my expertise, right? I'm working on launching. By the time this episode goes live, we'll have I'm doing a consulting package for dream drivers, right? And this was something that I was harping on for months, but I just kept saying to myself, will people trust me? Like, am I worth it? Can I help people get results that I've been able to see, like, with my own business and with my own life? And I feel like it's that personal doubt that a lot of us it's hard for us to shake. It's easier said than done for a lot of us, myself included.
It really is, but it's also being able to absorb feedback and get better. Like, I always had a way where I met Angie Martinez at her book signing, and I said something to her, and she was like, wow, you have a way with words. And I was like, oh my God, really? But I've always had a way with words. Like, I've always been able to talk. I've always been a halfway decent writer, but I'm also able to, like, take criticism and understand why somebody not like this. And when you're charging somebody, you're charging someone for all the work and the time and the effort that you've put in, and for all the criticism that you've taken and the feedback and the way that you've incorporated that feedback into your work. That's what you're charging for. That's what your value is, all the time and the things that you put in. And I agree with you about that. I'm not comfortable with it. Like, I don't negotiate when I'm, like, given a rate. I really need to work on that. I'm just like, okay, thanks. Thanks for wanting to pay me at all. Like, you want to give me X amount of dollars to do something that I would have done for a piece of bubble gum? Appreciate it. Like, I don't really, worry about that the way that I should. But I know when it comes to, like, getting good, as far as being good enough, I know that I'm a hard worker, and I know how many hours I have spent staring at a screen trying to be the best writer that I can be. I know how much time that I've spent editing. I know how many people I've called on the phone. Shout out to my great support system of friends, and, like, literally read articles word for word and asked them what they thought and how I should phrase this. And I know that I have spent years and years of my life trying to get better, and I don't always know what that's worth, but I know that it's worth something.
There are going to be times when you stumble, right? How has not being assertive at certain points during that process affected you, and how are you working through that?
Again, there was a time when I, like, really separated my personal and professional life. And in my personal life, I'm very bossy. I'm very opinionated. I talk probably way too much. I ask a lot of my friendships and my relationships, and it's not always to the benefit of the other person. And in my professional life, I really try to be the opposite. I try to thank people for their time. I still can't believe that I get the opportunities that I get, that I sit in the rooms that I sit in, and I get a chance to talk to these amazing people and learn from them. And because of that approach that I take towards professional writing and that attitude, sometimes I've allowed my time to be wasted.
How?
Like, someone will reach out to me with an opportunity, and now, the new thing is everyone wants to hit you with the opportunity. Everyone wants to put you on. They want to build. Sometimes they're not building nothing.
I love that, girl. Sometimes I'm not laughing because, like, it's funny. I'm laughing because it's the truth. People out here saying, oh, join my team, and they don't even have there's nothing there.
There's no team. And those are the people who I was speaking about earlier. Those are the people who will not take the time to write their cover letter or run their cover letter past somebody. Those are the people who think that because they saw something on social media and they happen to know a person, or a person grew up in the town that they grew up in, they think, oh, I could do that. And they don't think past that. They don't think past that view at all. So there's no team. There's no plan. There's nothing, but they're rolling with it. And you and the person know it's a waste of time, but because you're afraid of being, perceived as a mean person and getting a bad reputation and being seen as demanding or rude or nasty, you allow your time to be wasted. Like, I remember a good example. I was at a yacht party hosted by Miss Jaya, who's one of the best journalists I've ever encountered. She actually just did that documentary about the late rapper Chinks. And she was gracious enough to invite me and a friend of mine to this boat party. And at the boat party, I met someone who was an entrepreneur, and he wanted me to write about him on Love Brown Sugar. I had never met this person. I didn't know anything about their business. So we exchanged social media handles, and he contacted me on social media, and he asked me to do a feature on him, and I asked him to email me with a little bit more information. I think people think when you're a blog as opposed to a magazine like Essence or Vogue or something like that, that there's no vetting process. But I can assure you, when you have a blog that's a business, there is a vetting process, because everything that you put on the site at a certain point reflects you and your brand. So when you're asking me to write about you and I don't know anything about you, I have to pitch this to my boss. I need more information. And I asked him, yeah, sure, shoot me an email. And he goes, I have to email you just to write about the blog? Like, email with what? He had no marketing materials. And at this day and age, there's no excuse not to have a one sheet, a media kit, anything. If you're pitching press, like, I didn't come to you to write about you. You want me.
Where? Like, I have to do research? I have to do,
and I did do research.
Like the preliminary
I looked
research.
at the site. Like, I do research on people who I write about. I don't just go into interviews blind. But if I'm doing research and I'm not finding anything and you're pitching me, it takes not that long to just let me know a little about your business and why you think this would be good, because I have to present this to my boss. Everyone has a boss. I never even pitched it because you're not sending me anything to present, and I'm not going to go to my boss and look like an idiot. And even that conversation, that back and forth with him about it, I should not be explaining to you, like, this is why you need a one sheet and this is why you need a media kit, because that's time that I could be spending writing about someone else, which will result in a check. Why am I doing your business consulting for you? I haven't spoke to him since.
Have you seen his business out here in the streets?
I'm going to leave it at I have nothing positive to say.
Okay.
About that. What I've seen from it, I wouldn't have any interest in promoting it or, publicizing it, because I don't really know what it's about, and it shouldn't be on me to go find out what it's about.
What is your criteria for vetting opportunities? Like, how do someone pitch you for your site, or if you were looking to write about something or someone for another site, like, what are some processes that you have in place in order to know, is this a go or is this a no?
I think it's great if you have a website that leads me to a lot of information so that I'm able to do the appropriate amount of digging. Instagram is great if you have social media. I'm not really one to write about businesses that's just like in an Instagram handle. There has to be like something unique about it. Like recently I just wrote about M. Rose, who's a singer, and she's from Jersey. There are a lot of singers from Jersey, but I really, she's on that VH1 show Assigned. But even before that, I followed her on SoundCloud. I followed her on Instagram. She's consistent. She's always doing something cool. She's always doing something unique. And I'm like, wow, this is something that I want everyone to know about. This is something that I think is really interesting. So that's something that I'm going to write about. The way that she's put together her brand, the way that she approaches things, she's super transparent. It's really in line with the music. Why would I not want to promote that? Broadway Blake is an entrepreneur in the city of Newark, and he does Vibes in the City, which is an open mic night showcase. That's something that's cool. He's consistently done that for over 52 weeks, over a year. He has thrown an open mic night every Wednesday. And if you know anything about Newark before recently, when the Whole Foods moved in and everything, it wasn't always easy to have an event in Newark that was incident free. And he has an event that's about nothing but love and art, and all different type of genres of music come together at that every week. That's the kind of thing that I want to write about.
You're building your site's reputation. I think even you were saying this to me a few days ago. Your brand is not what you think it is. It's what other people tell you it is. So you are the curator of what your brand is, what you want your brand to be perceived at. So I feel like a lot of people sometimes feel like when they're starting out building something that they have to just do it because it's presented to them, right? And you don't have to. Like, you can curate what you want your brand to be perceived as. So if that means you have to tell your best friend, no, I cannot feature you on my site because, best friend, what you are doing does not align with my site, be all right with saying or telling people no.
And if your best friend is your best friend, or if your friend from fourth grade or whoever it is that, is selling those amazing sweet potato pies out of her trunk is really your friend, they're going to be okay with that. And you can even say, there's a way to say, no, this is where I come back to like treating people with respect. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be like, I'm not doing that. That looks crazy. You look crazy. Your pies don't even have a label on them. What do I look like? You don't have to do all that. You can just go, hey, at this time, I think that it really doesn't serve what my site is trying to do to cover what you're doing. But, come back around. I would really love to tell people about this, because if you have a business and I'm sending people to your business, like I have a small readership with high engagement. So I've recommended yoga studios and people have gone to, if someone Googles a business that I tell them about, or they go to look it up on social media and it's not there and it's not easily accessible, why would they take my word the next time that I'm recommending a restaurant, or the next time that I'm saying, hey, this guy's a really cool rapper, you should check him out? There's no reason to listen to what I'm saying if there's no consistency.
And I think also what I hear from what you're saying is, I think there's power in the niche. And a lot of times we as creatives, we feel like we have to be so broad. We got to talk about everything and everyone, when knowing like having low readership, or, low readership in comparison to people who are like huge or whatever, right? But that engagement is what really is your goal, because there are people out there with huge numbers who have no engagement, and they're just doing it for the numbers, but you are doing it for the community, and you're doing it for like being in touch with their community. And that's what I love about your site, because I could like feel the passion from your words. Like if you guys read, if you go on the C Letter and read an article, you will feel the passion. Like I feel it when I'm reading.
And that's special. Like I've been reading magazines since I was a little girl, and I still get that feeling when I'm flipping through a Lore magazine and I see a product that I put in my hair. It feels cool. People can say, I know it's the new cool thing to pretend that like nothing gets to you and you're completely jaded. You feel cool when a lipstick that you use every day is on the Lore's top 25 beauty list. It makes you feel like you're doing something right. People get personal connections to things. You love when a restaurant that you go to gets name checked in a Nicki Minaj song. You feel something. That's a connection that people don't have. And I think that niche media provides that.
How has your ability to be authentically you developed, and what helps you always remember that at the end of the day, you're the only Keyaira there is. Like there's nobody else like you, and it's all right to embrace that. I feel like sometimes it's hard to be yourself, right? Not saying that you don't know who you are, but I know for me personally, like it's hard to expose the different layers of your being, especially in the public sphere, right? Like with your friends and family, you have no problems being you. But when it comes to the work that you put out, it's like, how do you infuse and make sure that it still represents you and not this made up you? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. So one thing about me is I don't like to be embarrassed. I don't lie, not because I am a particularly moral and awesome, upstanding citizen. I hate to be embarrassed. I hate to be called out. I'll call myself out before anybody else does. So like my attitude towards things is I'm not going to let you tell me I'm fat. I know I'm fat. I have a mirror. Like I know that I'm a plus size, dark skinned woman. I know what I look like. I know what I sound like. I know my writing capabilities. I know who I am, and I'm okay with that. And I have to be who I am at all times. My, attitude this year, I borrowed the motto from, the Great Girlfriends podcast that Brandis and Sybil host every week. And it's just about showing up as your full self and your whole self. For me, I don't know how people live double lives. I don't know how they do it. They, should be up for Academy Awards. I have seen some things in this industry that like would literally give me an ulcer. I have to be upfront. I don't know how any other way to do it, because I can't imagine the kind of pressure that comes with waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I have literally seen people, for example, I have a hashtag, the J Job Chronicles. Everyone knows I have a day job. I'm grateful that I get paid for writing, but it does not pay my rent. So I have another job to pay the rent. I have seen creatives in this industry literally run into me and they're working behind a cash register and they pull me to the side and tell me not to tell anybody because they're embarrassed. I don't know when this whole 2017 having a regular, quote unquote, regular job made you a lame thing happened. But to me, I think that rhetoric is really dangerous because it's having people compare themselves to something that's not real. And we're already comparing ourselves to bodies that are surgically altered and pictures that are airbrushed and cars that are leased in apartments.
Cars that are borrowed, not even leased, girl. Borrowed from the borrower.
Somebody else's name and all types of stuff, and apartments that are Airbnb'd, and people saying that they're staying in the Hamptons when they really stay in 2 towns over. I couldn't keep up with that kind of lie. So instead of putting the pressure on myself to present this like perfect lifestyle so that people will give me opportunities and give me jobs, because unfortunately that happens in this industry too. People think that you're a lame or you're a square, and they might not invite you to, you know, the cool kid table. And then the cool kid table might be where the job is. So people feel like they have to keep up with that lifestyle, and they have to take on that pressure and be this person and present this, you know, narrative so that they're able to get the job of their dreams. I'm not going to do that. Every opportunity that I've gotten by being myself. For me, it's important to be transparent, because I've had friends come to me on Facebook and be like, I want to be like this person and I want to be like that person. And I'm like, you don't know that this person still lives with their mother, like, or this person is always traveling, they're always doing this. And I'm like, you don't know that their girlfriend works at Delta Airlines and they're traveling on buddy passes, and that hotel that they went to, they got a, you know, day pass for the pool, but they're not staying in that hotel. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be 100% myself at all times, because it might give somebody else the courage to be themselves. I just did an interview for Mike.com and they put it on their Instagram. And the whole time I'm looking at the video, I'm like, oh, I look terrible, you know? But there are people commenting on the video like, wow, this was so inspiring. This meant a lot to me. And I think that it's important to just be upfront, because you never know who you're helping. And it really makes me sad when I have beautiful, talented women coming to me telling me that they wish that they were somebody else, and that person that they want to be doesn't even exist.
Yep. And I think it's like we have to be more accepting of our journeys and accepting of, like, we may not be where we want to be right now, but that doesn't mean we'll never get there. And I think a lot of us sometimes want to rush the process, right? Because even, you know, thinking about your own journey, like, you didn't even think that you would have, like, let's say, when you first enrolled in Kane, right? You never, did you ever imagine that you'd have your own blog, that you'd be out here attending Fashion Week, being in the rooms with all these people that you're with now?
Absolutely not. I was just trying to make more than $13 an hour.
And keep your apartment, right?
I was cleaning foreclosed houses as a student at Kane. People would have been ashamed of that. Like, I had a guy tell me, who I won't say his name, but he actually works in the industry now. Oh, you clean houses? Are you going to come clean my house? And this man lived with his mother. He didn't have a car. He was asking me for a ride to school. But I was upfront about cleaning houses. I didn't try to slick around and pretend, oh, you know, I work, and not tell you what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. I'll rather out myself before I ever let you out me. I'm proud that I used to clean houses, and I'm proud that the degree that sits in my office at my day job was financed through cleaning houses.
What are some challenges that you're working through now, whether it be a business challenge or a personal challenge?
Right now, I'm working on being open to different opportunities. I thought that being a writer was going to look one way. Like, a year ago, I wouldn't even have felt comfortable to do this podcast. I've been asked to do interviews, and I've been asked to do YouTube videos and all types of things. And I just wasn't interested in it. I was really, you know, staunchly set on the path that I think my career was supposed to go in. But I think you have to be open to twists and turns. And I think that's where I'm at right now.
So what advice would you give to aspiring writers on how they can actually monetize their brands and make sure they're not just out here working for free?
I would say to make sure that you're researching the publication that you're writing for and making sure that it's an actual business. And I will also say that communication is really important. Like, if your best friend was given the okie doke, I mean, obviously people have their personal experiences with people, so you can't always take everyone's word for it. But I think that there's a lot more transparency needed. If this person did you wrong, you should tell the next person so that you can save them that heartache. Don't think, well, this happened to me, so it should happen to everyone. It's wrong. I think that everyone should be like, hey, I used to, work here, and I don't know if this is the place for you. Or, oh, this person, sing their praises if they're doing something right, too. Don't just spread the negative, spread the positive. Be like, hey, this person gave me a fair rate, and I love the way that they interacted with me. And, they are hiring, and I do think that they would work for you. There's enough room for everybody. And I think that it's really important before you go into things and wasting your time, if you're not sure if an opportunity is paid, to ask and be upfront about it, which can be really scary. But it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not doing pro bono work right now, but thank you so much for your time and your interest, and maybe we could work together on something in the future. And I also think swaps are really important. Like, I've had writers, the C letter is a really new venture for me. And I've had 3 writers come to me and ask me, can they write for the site? And I have been very upfront saying, like, I'm writing everything myself because I don't have a budget. But if there's something that you're passionate about that you want to submit to the site, I would love to offer my work to you for free, and maybe we could do a swap on each other's sites. And that's a way to make sure you're getting something out of it if you're, going to be writing for free. But I don't have any interns. I don't have anyone under me because I value people enough to want to pay them for their work.
It helps people know like what your character is and what they can expect from you and what they should expect from other people. Because I think there's just this culture of, especially for creatives, right? That creatives' work is not valued, that what we do is not something that people should pay a decent price for, right?
It's very true. I spoke earlier about, through hard work and tenacity, it being easier than I thought to get in the room. But what I didn't say is there's a lot of people in that room with you. Everyone wants to do it, and it is crowded, and we are considered expendable. And it is sad because I do think that there's a talent to being a writer and a podcaster and a makeup artist and a hairstylist and a, wardrobe stylist and a singer and a rapper. And I think that creativity should be rewarded. But unfortunately, when a lot of people want to do something, the price of labor is cheap. Mm-hmm. And if you know that you feel like you're worth more than an opportunity. Now, if an opportunity is going to present something for you and you know that it's a good opportunity, take that opportunity. But if this is Joe Schmo's website and they don't even have an LLC and everything is not put together accordingly, you don't have to take that opportunity. You can start your own blog and you can do your own thing. For the most part, if I'm going to write for free, it's going to be for myself.
That's exactly one of the reasons why I started cutting down on a lot of the freelance writing that I was doing, because I had to weigh it, right? It had to be like, is this $50 worth it for me, where I could be using that time to build my own content, right? Because some of these sites, they want exclusive content and they don't even want to pay you for it. It's like, not Raina at least work.
Exactly. And it's my own content that has gotten me jobs and gotten me opportunities, things that I have written for free for myself on spec. If it's going to be for free, it can go to be a part of my portfolio. And it's not just writers. That's why I try to include people who do other things, because there's junior publicists. People have replaced the assistant and the entry level employee with unpaid interns. We see it every day. It used to be very difficult to get an internship, and people are literally begging for them now because unfortunately they don't have the budget to be able to do things. And a lot of older, I don't want to say older because I'm not into, being ageist, but I will say that a lot of creatives who are around in a different era, no matter what their age is, will, try to compare it to their own experience, and their experience might not be yours because the budgets were bigger. People were paying for your transportation. People were paying for your lunch. You were doing it for these huge corporations in the hope that you might get a job. If a business is a one-person operation, there might not be a job for you.
Yep.
And it is important to build relationships and build your own contacts. But what you're not trying to do is start your own business, and you're not trying to, be in a position to get your own clients, then you might be better served working with a corporation that might be able to hire you one day, or even partnering with another young creative on a project, than working for somebody who's not going to be able to give you the opportunity that you're looking for. Because unfortunately, some people do think it's okay to take advantage of people and allow them to do unpaid internships for 2 and 3 years, and at the end, not feel responsible for them at all. I feel like I was really lucky to have interned with Love Brown Sugar and, worked my way up to a job and been able to be compensated. I'm very grateful. I'm not a super religious person, but I am like a spiritual person. And sometimes I think that God is not allowing me to be done with the day job because he wanted me to go back to school.
Everything happens when it should, as it should, right?
Yeah, because I'm the only person in my family to have gone to college. And like to be able to get a master's degree at that would be like a huge deal to me. And I see myself, provided that there is still an earth and it's not destroyed by he who must not be named.
Oh my God. Did you see what he said today?
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay.
I rebuke that. I don't speak his name, and or at least not in my house or my car. And I try not to talk about him at length because it gives me severe anxiety. But with that being said, provided that there is still an earth, I can see myself teaching when I'm like 60. And I want to get a PhD so I could be, Dr. Keyaira Boone, media and communications expert and publisher. Because everybody's living for that picture in the Bahamas with all their best friends in the matching bathing suits in formation. Everybody's living to be able to take pictures of their passports and saying they're going to Cuba for the weekend. And nobody's thinking about why are you doing this and what exactly are you doing? Nobody's thinking big picture. Everybody wants to sit in the panel. Everybody wants to have their flyer, for a brunch, and everyone wants to own this company and that company. How many business coaches do we need? How many? How many coaches? How many seminars? How many brunches? How long are we going to do this? Or are we going to band together? And I'm not saying that they're all bad. Some people have really accomplished stuff. But if your whole hustle is teaching me how to hustle, I don't want any parts of that. And that's the new wave. These companies are they only have so much money to do. Like when you're a full-time blogger, they already set their budget out for the year. And now we're all in competition to see how much of that budget we could get. I think that we need to be more creative. I think that we need to be more intentional with our partnerships. And I think that we need to be a little less ego-driven.
So what could we possibly see you doing in the future? Are you not going to tell us yet?
Well, the C Letter has a line of accessories and, graphic T-shirts coming to the site that represent all my little hashtags that I like to use. Like, just a Black girl who loves books. I'm a Black girl who loves books.
Well, I have to get one of those shirts because I love me some books too.
The designs were actually put together by Savon Anderson, who's an amazing graphic designer who's from Jersey, but she lives in Harlem. And I have a couple of cute little things coming with that. And I also have some projects that I'm working on with Urban Girl Magazine. But right now, what's really important to me is collecting magazines for patients at Trinitas Hospital in Elizabeth, New Jersey. There are a lot of patients there who are bedridden or unfortunately don't have visitors. And they're unable to, keep up with things that are going out. And the Volunteer Services Department had asked the community if they could possibly donate magazines that were recent as 4 months or, newer to the patients who are bedridden and unable to, see what's going on in the outside world to kind of bring them a smile. So that's something that I'm working on right now. I'm trying to collect as many magazines as I can and give them to patients. I know a lot of people don't read actual magazines anymore, but I love them. There's something about them. I think that they're special, and especially to, someone who can't get out the bed, just having a connection to everything that's going on around them. That's really important to me. So that's a project that I'm working on right now. So if any of your listeners live in the Jersey area, let me know. Reach out to me on social media. I will drive to your house and pick them up. But that's something that is near and dear to my heart right now.
So, on those days when you feel like giving up, what's keeping you going? What's keeping your car on the road, not veering off course?
Knowing how far I came from, like I said, when I graduated high school, my goal in life, it sounds so ridiculous. And I know so many people are going to listen to this and laugh at me, but my goal in life was just to make $13 an hour and have my own place. That's all I wanted to do. I couldn't see any further than that. I just wanted to have a door that closed and know that nobody could tell me anything on the other side of it and just have it be my own. And I've come so much further than that. And I'm so grateful. So knowing that I have to keep setting new goals for myself, however small they might seem to other people, because I've literally accomplished everything that I set out to do in life. And I'm so grateful for that. If God gives you more than you ever imagined, how can you not repay him by trying to make the most out of that? Not only for myself, but I'm grateful that I didn't get some of the opportunities that I have now earlier in life, because then I was only thinking about myself. And now I have a vision that includes other people. And I never had that before.
I think that was such a perfect way to segue into our lightning round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
In this part of our interview, I'm going to give you a prompt, and I want you to tell me the first word that comes to mind. And remember, this is sticking with our whole dreams and drive metaphor, okay?
Okay.
All right. The first word is park.
Lazy.
Reverse.
Reflection.
Neutral.
Preparation.
Drive.
Growth.
So, in order to be a dream driver, you have to have your keys to success. So tell me 3 things that you think every dream driver needs in their toolkit before they hit the road.
Time management skills. It really gets on my nerves when people tell me they don't have time to do anything. I have 3 jobs.
I hate that too, girl. I hate that.
I have 3 jobs and I'm in graduate school. So I literally yelled at my downstairs neighbor. He's adorable. He's been living here since I moved into this apartment. And he was telling me that his grades fell off last semester. And I was like, I have 3 jobs and I'm in graduate school. What is your excuse? And he literally just looked at me and was like, yeah, miss, I'm going to do better. It's really important to have time management skills. Get that Wonderlist app. It's the best to-do list app on the market. Make sure you get that and put a separate to-do list for everything you have to do, and do it and schedule time for yourself so you don't go crazy. You'll be fine. Mm-hmm. The other key is research skills. Like I said, you can't waste time talking to somebody who might only have 5 minutes for you on something that's a Google search away. So make sure that you're able to know skills to research things and, visit your local library. I would say number 3 is your local library. You cannot blame anything on, my computer is not working, or I don't know what you're going through. Maybe your files gets cut off. There's a library in every community that has resources and things you can research. And literally the librarians sit there all day waiting for someone to ask them for help. So don't sleep on your local library. There's a lot of things that you can get done there.
Or go to your local Apple store. Yeah, I've done that before. I had to do something in GarageBand and mine was acting up. Girl, I went straight to the mall, popped in my USB, did it real quick.
Girl, you could have called me. I would have let you come over.
All right, so that's a wrap for episode 108 with Keyaira Boone. I hope you enjoyed hearing her dream driving story as well as her keys to success. Now, if you love this episode, and I'm pretty sure that you did, because I think Keyaira shared a lot of truths about what it is like being a creative, what it's like being an entrepreneur in this industry, and why we need to keep it real about the struggles that we're facing, and why we really need to focus on truly building things that are benefiting us, not in the short term, but in the long term. So thank you, Keyaira, for sharing those thoughts and your experiences. If you love today's episode, I highly encourage you to share it with a friend. The best way to do so is to screenshot wherever you're listening, right? And upload it to your favorite social media platform. My favorite social media platform right now is Instagram. So I love it when you guys go on Instagram stories and share the episodes there. Make sure to tag us. We are Dreams and Drive across the board, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can also use the hashtag Dreams and Drive as well. And if you are on Apple Podcasts, I would especially love if you left us a rating and a review. Those are extremely helpful when other people are trying to learn about the podcast, and as well, for us to grow. The more ratings we get, the higher up in searches that we come up. So episode 109 is going to be another great one indeed. We are going to be hearing from the fabulous Julissa Calderon of Paralike and BuzzFeed. And you may have seen her viral video online, how she went from being a waitress to a BuzzFeed producer in 1 year. Her story is phenomenal. It's truly encouraging. I know that you guys love hearing these story episodes, so I am going to try to put out a few more back to back to get you guys pumped and motivated. Keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in episode 109.